From Allen Hall on the campus of Onondaga Community College in Syracuse, New York, ESFTV presents college basketball. Today, an HVIAC matchup as SUNY ESF hosts the Knights of Berkeley College. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on ESFTV for men's college basketball. He's Gabe Perrin, and I'm Andrew Del Piana, courtside in Syracuse. This afternoon, the Mighty Oaks tip off against the Berkeley Knights in the final home game of the 2022-23 regular season. As we take a look at the HVIAC, Berkeley tops the conference with undefeated in play with 6 wins. ESF is solidly in 4th place. The top 4 teams move on to the postseason to play next weekend in the conference championship. So regardless of what happens this afternoon, it is likely ESF and Berkeley will meet next weekend in the conference semifinals.
And Andrew, it's actually a very interesting situation we have here for the HVIAC. So what's going on is on January 29th, 5 towns canceled their game against ESF. They didn't forfeit, they canceled it. So that created a situation in which they are now tied for that 3rd spot, and a coin toss this week will decide who gets the 3rd seed in the conference tournament. And that decides who plays Villa Maria, and that decides also who plays Berkeley.
Should be an interesting matchup inside of Onondaga Community College. Lots of expectations for the final game of the regular season. We spoke to each of the head coaches prior to game time to get their perspective and keys to victory today. Let's start with the visiting Knights. Gabe, what do you got?
Well, Coach Jonathan Pena and the Knights are really high on grabbing rebounds. ESF is a very solid offensive team, so every rebound they can get, both offensively and defensively, is huge. And then taking care of the ball. Coach Pena stressed that they have been losing the ball far too much and really need to hone down on their possession. If they can keep possession throughout the game, then they're going to be just fine. And then finally, free throws. They are a great offensive team, averaging 85 points per game, and free throws are a huge part of that, Andrew. And if they hit their free throws throughout the game, and especially late in the game if it gets close, they can come out of here with a win.
We'll take a look at this afternoon's probable starters. And Gabe, what do you see here in this starting lineup? Because a lot of big faces in this game for the Mighty Oaks. Who in particular are you looking at for either side, either for Berkeley or for ESF starting this game?
Well, first for ESF, you have to look at Reed Patchett. Their leading scorer, averaging 15.5 points per game. Great shooter, 58% from the field. And also, he's got some size on him, Andrew. Standing at 6'5", weighing in, standing at 6'5", weighing in at 210. I mean, you can use that size anywhere on the court, but especially offensively.
And for Berkeley, who intrigues you the most on their side of the ball?
I really like Jahadu Brunner. 6'2", out of Brooklyn, averaging 16.8 points per game. He's a guard, and actually a bigger guard, and he shoots very well, but I'm looking at his free throw numbers, averaging 80% from the stripe. If he can draw some fouls while driving in, then he's going to pop off today.
We'll take a look at the head coaches of today's game, starting with the Berkeley Knights. Head coach Jonathan Pena, in year 6 for him, an 09 graduate from Berkeley College. Played for the team in 06 through 09, a 3-time conference tournament champion as a player, and coached a team to a national championship in just his first season. Now in terms of ESF, their head coach, John D'Antonio, in year number 5, coming over from Groton High School, 5 years there, currently with a win percentage of .405 for the Mighty Oaks.
Yeah, and Coach D'Antonio, he has been doing a pretty good job, especially in the conference. They're at 3-2 right now, and he said he's hopeful. Past years against Berkeley, they've had the lead in the second half, he said, but they just lost at the last minute. He said 3 years ago in the conference tournament, conference semifinals, they lost at the buzzer. So I would not count ESF out at all. Despite their record against Berkeley, I think they're in this game for sure.
And it's going to be a tough matchup for the Mighty Oaks as they are coming off of one of their worst offensive performances of the season. Just 47 points for the Forest. And it was Reed Patchett who led the offense. The only one in double figures was 17. As I mentioned, though, Gabe, the key number there, just 47 points against Bryan and Stratton Rochester.
Yeah, and actually not just one of the worst offensive performance of the year for the Mighty Oaks. But like you said, there is that bright shining star on the team that is Reed Patchett. And I think he continues that streak today because why not? He's a great shooter, and we know Berkeley is not the best defensive team in this conference. So if he can get hot early, that's one of their keys to the game. If he can get hot early, then watch out.
Berkeley, on the other hand, in search of their 8th consecutive conference title this season, as we mentioned earlier, wrapping up the 1 seed after today's conclusion of the regular season. But for them, 14-10, 6-0, it just feels like this program is just running through the teams in the HVIAC game.
It really does. 7 conference championships in a row, 6 under Coach Pena. And it's really impressive what they've been doing. Now the question is, when we get to conference play, Andrew, they're going to match up against a really solid, most likely Villa Maria team in the conference championship. Will they be able to get out of that conference championship, win that game? We'll see, and we're going to see a preview of what's to come in the postseason for the Knights today against ESF.
They took their 14th conference title last season. I mean, like, this team just feels inevitable here in conference play. We're just a few minutes from tip-off here. Gabe Perrin and Andrew Del Piano live from Onondaga Community College. Excited for the matchup between the Berkeley Knights and the ESF Mighty Oaks. But as I mentioned, though, for Berkeley, a 4-time national champion. They won the Natty from 2015 all the way to 2018. And as I mentioned, this team continues to dominate the state of New York. And another big matchup against ESF today. What is in store for this Berkeley team? Because ESF, they're playing for bragging rights today, but you're most likely going to see this team next weekend.
Yeah, offensively, that is where this Knights team shines. I want to look at this roster right now and see just how many players average double digits per game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players. They have more than a starting 5 of double-digit scorers. You don't find that on a lot of college teams at any level around this country, and that is why they've been so successful, especially in this conference. They outmatch every team in this conference by far, and that is why they are on top of the HVIAC right now.
Last game for Berkeley, they fell in a tough one to Bryan and Stratton Syracuse, 92-87, snapping a 6-game win streak. But for Berkeley, they continue to dominate the conference and bring that momentum in today's matchup against the Mighty Oaks. But as you mentioned, the offensive firepower for the Berkeley Knights, 85.5 points per game, the most in the conference, 2nd in three-point shooting, 3rd in field goal percentage. What do the Mighty Oaks need to do today to get a victory?
I think you have to stop the 3. That's where a lot of those points come from. So however they want to do that, just do that. Stop the 3, force them inside, because at least down there you can match up with them size-wise, because the Mighty Oaks have a lot of size on their team. They got Reed Patchett at 6'5", they got Patrick Emery at 6'5" as well, both starters. So if they force the Knights to get more down inside and take away the perimeter game, I think they'll have a decent shot.
It's going to be one of those games where we're just going to see punches thrown at each other all day long. Should be a good one between the Mighty Oaks and the Knights, just moments away from tip-off inside of Onondaga Community College. Andrew Del Piano and Gabe with you here as part of ESFTV. Thank you for joining us today.
By the way, ESFTV, been on air since 2007, 9.5K subscribers right now. Not too far away from that coveted 10K, and we know we all want that, right, Andrew?
Who doesn't?
So please, if you support the program, please like and subscribe. You can see more sports coverage and more just like this.
Warm-ups wrapping up here at OCC as we're about to get things started. Starting lineups and national anthem coming up next here on ESFTV. Men's college basketball, the Berkeley Knights taking on the ESF Mighty Oaks. We'll be back in a moment. We welcome you back to Allen Hall on the campus of Onondaga Community College in Syracuse, New York. Gabe Perrin and Andrew Del Piano with us, moments away from the Berkeley Knights and the ESF Mighty Oaks. We'll return to our starting lineups first with the Berkeley Knights. Who did you like there for Berkeley, Gabe?
Well, I really like Tashawn Moore in addition to Brunner and all the other great scorers on this squad. Moore, a bit of a smaller guard and averaging 12.3 points per game. But the thing with smaller guards, you can move around defenses, and we know ESF has a very solid defense. If Tashawn Moore can just kind of scrap his way around the court offensively today, he's going to have a really good day.
In terms of the team from the Force, ESF, who do you like in their starting lineup in this matchup?
Well, of course, there's Reed Patchett, but also Matt McFarland. While he doesn't show a lot on the scoring end, averaging just 5 points a game, he's 6'2", 185. That's not small, especially in this conference. So he has a really solid presence in the paint, especially rebounding, averaging 3.8 rebounds per game. If he can grab those boards early, set up chances for his offense, he'll be an instrumental part for the ESF Mighty Oaks tonight.
Tip-off just moments away inside of OCC. Berkeley in ESF about to get going in the final game of the regular season. Mighty Oaks in their home whites with the green letters and green numbers, while Berkeley in their road blacks with the blue numbers.
One thing to note, Andrew, Mark Combs, the Knights' leading scorer, not starting.
Tip is in the air, and this ball game is underway. The Mighty Oaks will have first possession in this one, led by the veteran Christian Rossi, the junior. Mighty Oaks 7-11 this season. As we mentioned, 3-2 in conference play, trying to end their regular season on a high note. 10 to shoot on the first possession for the Mighty Oaks. Rossi inside the paint. Great defense made by number 10, Justice Coleman, and the Knights are out and running. Berkeley, 14-10 record for them, 6-0 in the conference, going for their 8th straight conference championship this season. Ball deflects off the foot of Matt McFarland, and the Knights will stay with it.
I like that defense so far from the Mighty Oaks. They're really getting on those passes and making sure there's no clear lanes to go through.
And does that defense look a little familiar, Gabe? A little bit of that 2-3 zone from the Syracuse
I wonder where they got that from.
Pull-up jumper taken by number 2, Rashid Abdulin, is no good, and the rebound to Rossi. Minute in this first quarter, still looking for our first bucket. Rossi will facilitate the offense into the hands of the top scorer, Reed Patchett. Patchett, the pull-up jumper off the back of the iron.
That was a good shot from Patchett, but this ESF offense is working a bit too much on the perimeter in the first 2 possessions.
Tashawn Moore, 12 double-digit point games this season for the Knights. He'll let the 3 fly.
Just nothing going down for either side so far, Andrew.
Both teams out of rhythm in the first 90 seconds. Still looking for bucket number 1 between the Mighty Oaks and the Knights. Patchett goes to work, is hit on the arm, and he'll get to the line. The first foul of the night goes against Berkeley.
Look at the way that Reed Patchett was just bullying Bright down there in the paint. And Bright is taller than Reed Patchett, so it's a really good matchup that I like.
Foul goes against number 11, A.I. Bright, the freshman from the Bronx, New York. Reed Patchett has the first points of the Knights for the Mighty Oaks. The leading scorer on this team had a team-high 17 in that loss last game, which was an ugly offensive showing for ESF.
Averaging just under 80% from the stripe as well.
Takes care of business, and the Mighty Oaks are off to a 2-0 lead. Just a little over a minute 30 into half number 1. Berkeley, the highest scoring team in the conference entering this one with about 85 points per game. The Mighty Oaks trying to use that zone to their advantage. Moore gets a screen. Dishes it off. Nice passing display by the Knights, and it's number 11, A.I. Bright, who's rewarded.
And that is exactly how you draw out that zone. Draw the defenders out to the perimeter, and then just get it inside for an easy layup just like that.
The Mighty Oaks doing a good job of getting out of that full court press, as head coach Jonathan Pena mentioned earlier on. All square at 2 apiece. 2 minutes and 30 seconds into the first half. The Knights doing a perfect job of collapsing at Patrick. 2 black jerseys immediately on number 22. Perfect defense.
Yeah, and that's just what you have to do against Reed Patchett, because he has that size and that strength to get down inside. But then, if you force him outside, he can shoot as well.
Only 1 made field goal for the Knights early on. And an errant pass results in a turnover.
And that's what that zone does to you. It closes up those passing lanes and makes you to push out passes just like that, and bad passes.
Both defenses showing up early on, not even 3 minutes in. The Mighty Oaks still looking for their first field goal. Berkeley in a zone defense of their own. 10 to shoot for ESF. Shot will not go up, as it was Matt McFarland who stepped out of bounds.
Just a tough mistake there, but right in this corner, right in front of us, Andrew Cox was open the entire time. He's a pretty solid shooter, averaging 44 from the field. So I say, why not to the Mighty Oaks? Why not put it out to Cox and just have him fire it from the corner?
Timeout on the floor taken by Berkeley, the first of the night used by Jonathan Pena. Gabe, just 2 points aside in the early 3 minutes. You got to credit the defenses early on in this ball game.
Exactly, and the way I'm looking at it, the first 3 minutes of this game, it's one of those games where it's just fast, it's chaotic, and sometimes when you just start out as an offense, you don't know what to do, you don't know who to pass it to, you don't know what plays you really want to run, you're just trying to feel out what this game is going to be like. And like you said earlier, it's going to be a dogfight. We're seeing how fast these teams are moving back and forth. Once they start getting hot, once they start shooting and dropping buckets, just wait. That scoreboard is going to light up.
As we talked about in the pregame, this was 2 of the higher scoring teams in the conference, and we only got to combine 4 points through the first 3 minutes. Still a lot of game left to go here at Onondaga Community College.
Yeah, and I just don't think it's going to hold up. I think it's going to be a lot different really soon.
We'll see. Berkeley out of the timeout. Deshaun Moore, 12.3 points per game. He's also facilitator with 3.5 assists. He's going to slash into the paint and kick it out. Knights working around the perimeter, looking for a good shot. Abdullah lets it fly, and there is a 3-point field goal for Berkeley.
And I think this offense runs through Abdullah right now. He's been running the court, taking a lot of shots, and now they're just starting to drop.
The lefty from Russia is not afraid to let it fly from deep. Tough start on offense for the Mighty Oaks. Bad pass as they were trying to get into the hands of Cox, and he stepped out of bounds.
When you have someone that open down low and getting that separation from their defenders, you just can't make a pass like that. That is on McFarland there, because Cox was getting good separation in the paint, and he had probably an easy layup.
And he immediately said after that bad pass to Cox, my bad, and hopefully he'll get him on the next one. Moore surveying. Berkeley now inside the paint, another easy bucket, this time coming off the left hand of Justice Coleman.
You can't let that happen. If you're going to be a defensive team like that, you can't give up easy shots like that.
Rossi slips his way through and one. And that is just the first field goal of this first half, 4 minutes in.
What a great move by the junior from Syracuse, Christian Rossi. But my question there is, where's his help? It was him against 3 defenders, and for him, very thankfully, he made it work. Got the and one, but where's the offensive help for the Mighty Oaks?
Rossi second on the team in scoring this year, only behind Reed Patchett, as he gets that one to go, a 74% free throw shooter entering the day. Half-court press from the Mighty Oaks, trying to force some turnovers. What a perfect move taken by A.I. Bright.
I like the press for the Oaks, but when you have that zone, you got to make sure the zone is set before they enter the half court.
Wallace strips behind Rossi. Wallace back the other way, right at his defender, and it's an and one at the other end. And Berkeley is often running defense into offense.
And sometimes you have to know when to just let them score. Giving up a foul is a bad look, and adds to the foul tally. Now your chances of fouling out are increasing, getting a foul early.
And what a timeout used by head coach Jonathan Pena. His team was struggling on offense, and just like that, they've gone on a 10-3 run with just about 15 minutes to play in the first half. Rossi looking for a screen from Patchett, trying to work off Wallace. Stepping into a three is Patrick Emery, who knocks it down.
And there we go. This is the shooting we're used to seeing from ESF.
The best three-point shooting team in the conference at 30.9%. Knights trying to answer at the offensive end. That ball movement has just been picture perfect, but Coleman isn't able to finish.
And there we go. It's all about the rebounds now. This has to set up an offensive chance, though, and a score.
To the opposite corner they go. Cox, another three. Back-to-back possessions with a tray.
And that's exactly what I called for, Andrew, just a few minutes ago. Andrew Cox is sitting here in the corner begging for it to be passed to him, and finally he got it and scored.
The Mighty Oaks shaking off that 10-3 run and turning it into a 6-0 run of their own.
Rashid Abdullah loves to shoot. That's what I've learned.
Some miscommunication in the backcourt between Emery and Rossi, and it's a turnover for the Mighty Oaks as we'll get some fresh faces into the ballgame.
Certainly an unfortunate mistake there in front of half court, but I do really like this run that the Mighty Oaks have gone on. Shooting is their thing, and they need to fully embrace that. Just let it fly. Make that your brand. It's hard to defend when you're hot.
Exactly 6 minutes played in the first half. Berkeley 12, ESF 11. Mark Combs, fresh off the bench, the leading scorer, leaving his mark right away.
The good thing about the zone is it pushes offenses to where they're uncomfortable, but also some offenses are comfortable out in the perimeter, and the Knights are one of those offenses.
My question is, why are you leaving the best shooter on the floor wide open at the top of the key? Mighty Oaks letting it fly from deep. This one's in and out, unfortunately, for McFarland. Mark Holmes, skip pass into the opposite corner. Another tray for Berkeley, this one time coming from Jahadu Bruner.
The Mighty Oaks have to get faster on defense. They have to get to their shooters earlier. Don't block shots, just pressure them.
Bruner intercepts the pass from Cox. Now Berkeley will slow things down, but an errant pass stolen away by McFarland. Turn the ball over, you get it right back.
Exactly, now the Mighty Oaks set up well.
Vince Davis pulled down in some traffic by Kawayu Ansunga.
Chances like that are few and far between. He was wide open and missed.
12-14 to play in our first half. Berkeley 18, ESF 11. Ball hits the floor in a battle with Usunga and Patchett. And now whistles finally come in. We're looking at a jump ball here, Gabe.
And I wouldn't mind seeing this matchup get a bit more physical. These are two teams that are conference rivals. They don't exactly like each other, so why not get a little chippy? Fight for a ball. That's what I like to see.
That's a good point. As we talked with Coach San Antonio before the game, suffering that heartbreak loss back in 2021 in the conference semifinals to Berkeley. It's definitely a game he's had circled on the calendar this year.
Absolutely.
ESF looking for the momentum back. Knocking down the free throw line jumper is Patchett. You want to get him going nice and early on.
He saw that he was open, and he said, I'm going to pull up, and he did, and he scored.
Stutter step, a couple nice crossovers as Mark Combs just has that ball on a string, but can't convert in the paint.
Coach D'Antonio was begging for Reed Patchett to go out and defend that guy out on the three.
Outlet pass as the ball goes in and out for Hefferon, but a putback attempt. Perfect job there by Patchett to rebound that basketball, and we'll get to the charity stripe shooting two.
And that's what it's all about. Fighting for the ball offensively, going down inside, and just drawing fouls. That's Reed Patchett's game, and he's been executing it very well so far.
The The Grenada native in his senior campaign. Knocks down the first free throw. Very efficient at the line, a 79% shooter.
There's a lot of good free throw shooters on this squad, a lot of them over 70%.
Back end of 2 free throws upcoming for Patchett. The leading point scorer of the Mighty Oaks. Knocks down both. Berkeley up by 3, 12 minutes to play in the first half. Ball falls in and out of the hands of Kenneth Hines, and the Mighty Oaks force a steal. Hard baseline drive taken by Emery, and it last went out on his back.
I was thinking there was going to be a foul there, but there wasn't. So now it's Knights ball, but I like the way that the Mighty Oaks are fighting for it on that end and setting up offensive chances off of their defense.
Berkeley basketball following the turnover. Berkeley got hot in that stretch where they knocked down a couple of threes and have gone cold on offense since. But how about a little broadcaster's jinx there as Nsunga puts it home.
And Patchett really tried to block that. He got all the way up there, but that ball just arced right over his hand and into the net.
Berkeley up by 5. Davis, instead of letting it go, dishes it off. Look at the defense against Patchett as Brunner gets another steal. The Knights are off and running in the left-hand layup for Combs.
Vince Davis, certainly not the best shooter on this squad, but he is a decent shooter, and at his size, 5'7", he's not going to get a lot of offensive looks like that. They're so wide open.
And you got to credit Berkeley. They are doing their homework on Reed Patchett. He's got no room to breathe.
Yep.
They let Vince Davis with some breathing room, but that one caroms off the back iron. Combs so shifty, but lost the handle. Outlet passes. Rossi's got no one on his back, and he'll lay that one in nice and easy.
Reed Patchett, they are not letting him move at all. Just like you said, he can hardly get down the court into the paint.
Just about halfway through half number 1. The Knights leading the Mighty Oaks 22-17 inside of Allen Hall. A miscue there by Brunner as he lost it between his legs. Turnover.
And now for the Oaks, that turnover, this timeout, substitutions, it's a reset. You're down 5. This is where you start your offensive run. This is where you start just letting them fly.
That half-court press, that full-court press, I should say, has been oh so effective for Berkeley. Tough bucket in the paint there by Keith Timmons, who gets on the board for the first time tonight.
And that's what you can do when you're his size, 6'8", 250. You can just move like that against 2 other defenders. What a play by Timmons.
Pull-up 3 by Brunner is true. Oh, what a stroke. Knights re-extend their lead to 6. Cox trying to answer, can't.
I think he's a little trigger happy there. He was open earlier, but there, just not at all.
Official saying foul came on the floor as Vince Davis tried to take the charge there, but he'll get hit with a blocking foul.
And Davis, it was just an unfortunate situation, a mismatch there. He was down in the paint. Smallest guy in the team. That's not who you want to see down there for ESF.
The big man, Kenneth Hines, trying to work his way through, but that last extra step results in a travel.
Once again, Mighty Oaks find themselves down 6, but they have a mistake by Knights to work off of.
Mighty Oaks, perfect execution out of the full court press. Rossi the floater, and getting fouled on the way up, as Kenneth Hines said, I just put my hands right up, sir.
And I think I'll tend to agree with that call, but there was contact made. Was it after the shot? Yes, but nevertheless, Christian Rossi goes to the line.
Rossi goes back to the charity stripe, with the Mighty Oaks trailing by 6 with 9:10 to play in the first half. Lead cut down to 5.
Rossi, one of the better shooters from the stripe on this squad at 73%.
Has been more known on the defensive end, 2.5 steals per game, Gabe. That is second in the conference.
And no wonder why he's all the way around the court. That's why he gets those steals. He's everywhere.
Lead back down to 4 for the Knights. Combe letting it fly. Mighty Oaks want to push. Davis. His luck is true. Lucky number 3 for Vince Davis.
He was between 2 defenders there, and he said, I'll let it fly, and it works for Vince Davis.
Just like that, the lead now down to 1 for Berkeley. And the Mighty Oaks doing their job cleaning up on the glass. Another one for Timmons.
And now in this possession, they have to find a good shot to take the lead.
Vince Davis on the kick out. 3 off target from Hefferon. And that would have been a big momentum swing game.
The thing is, that was a good shot. He was wide open. I don't hate that shot.
Combs was looking for the fouls. He shimmies his way through.
And very quickly, Andrew, we've seen this game get a lot more physical and just a lot more efficient scoring-wise.
Davis tried to go deep into his bag there, but he lost it off his foot. And Berkeley will take over following the turnover.
I remember when we were saying about 5 to 7 minutes ago where, oh, it's 2-2. There won't be a lot of scoring. Yes, there will. Of course there will. And look at the score now.
It just took that one timeout from Coach Pena, and this game is basically flipped on its head.
And while ESF's big thing is their defense, they are not a bad scoring team at all. 74 points per game is pretty solid.
8 minutes to play in our first half. Berkeley 27, ESF 24. Perfect fake out by Tashawn Moore. Offensive board for Berkeley and a fresh 20. Shot is no good as Ratchet forced his man out of bounds. An uncharacteristic mistake made there by Mark Combs.
Great defense there by Patchett, just forcing him out of bounds, making just the right amount of contact.
Every black jersey is attached to a white jersey here in the backcourt. Mighty Oaks escape. And it's an easy up and on for Reed Patchett, who's trying to get himself going. He's really been locked down by Berkeley in this first half.
And I'm not sure how they didn't see him there. They have been doing really well locking him down, but he was near the basket all alone.
Fasten lost the handle on it as he's fresh into the game. Mighty Oaks trying to regain the lead. How about Andrew Cox for 3? Knights in transition. Layup's too strong by Brunner. Throwing the outlet pass away though is Emery. And some frustration on the sideline by Christian Rossi.
And that's what that full court press does. It forces you into bad passes. That's what we've seen there. We've seen it probably 2 or 3 times before that from the Mighty Oaks. If Berkeley is going to keep pressing the entire time, ESF has to find a way to respond to that and stay calm under that pressure.
Officials resetting this shot clock to 20 here to begin the Berkeley possession. But Berkeley turns it right back over, getting a little sloppy here in the last couple of minutes, Gabe.
And that's what the zone does as well, forces you into bad passes. It goes both ways. Both teams doing actually a really good job on defense and forcing the other team into bad passes.
Mighty Oaks will get set into their offense, trailing by 1. Patchett lets it fly, and it's true from the elbow.
Patchett knows his place there. If he gets the ball right there, he's going to pull up.
Combs regaining the handle on it. Getting a hand in there is Timmons to force the steal. Mighty Oaks taking their first lead since about a minute into this game when Rossi knocked down the 2 free throws. Now they find Rossi. Got his defender to bite, but swatted away by Tashawn Moore.
That was a great play there from Moore, just saying no to that shot. It will still be ESF ball, but that does take some momentum away, and the shot clock now at 10.
Still some time for the Mighty Oaks. Timmons on the low block, going to work as it falls in. What an impact he's had off the bench.
Just a great play, using his size to his full advantage, making a great agile move at his size.
Berkeley now trailing by 3 as Timmons getting his hand on the ball once again. As the sophomore from Ithaca, New York, has played big minutes in this first half.
And he towers over everyone else, and that is why he is such a presence in the paint.
He is a matchup nightmare. Easy bunny there as Brunner wanted to go for the two-handed dunk, but 2 points is 2 points. Turnover off the inbound. Combs falling away. Rossi in the trees pulls down the board. Berkeley, you felt a little that possession was rushed off the turnover.
And I think that shows the inexperience of this ESF squad. Only 2 seniors. A more experienced squad wouldn't make those kind of mistakes.
Straight away 3 from Timmons, bang!
He can do everything in the paint, perimeter, defense. Whatever you throw at Keith Timmons, he can handle.
Who would have known that the leading blocker on the team can knock down threes? Combs, cool, calm, and collected with the easy jumper. 5 minutes of change remaining in our first half. ESF 33, Berkeley 31. Over on the wing to Rossi with a left-handed drive. Pull up on the wing, can't get the friendly bounce. Pulled down by Brunner.
Brunner is also a great force down in the paint. He's matched up with Timmons, and it's a tough matchup.
Straightaway 3 from Brunner. Rebound for Timmons. Rossi gonna slow the pace down here with 4.5 left to the first.
It would really benefit them to start playing half-court basketball, but on the other side, it would really benefit Berkeley to start playing super fast-paced basketball, which they have been so far, but speed the pace up even more because you can tell this Mighty Oak squad gets a little confused when the ball starts moving a little too fast.
Cox and Timmons to the bench. As McFarland re-enters and Nate McCarthy makes his debut today for ESF. Mighty Oaks up by 2. Tried to work the pick and roll, but it's intercepted by Moore. Nice little hesitation fake and traveled before the shot went up.
Great recovery there from McFarland, getting back on defense after he made a mistake and pressuring his defender into that mistake.
It's been a tough stretch for Berkeley, as once again the Mighty Oaks cannot take care of the basketball on the inbound. Combs can't convert the 3. This ball will go in favor of ESF.
I know they got the ball back, but you have to make better choices on your inbound pass, not just for the turnover's sake, but for the sake of that starts your possession. That is how you set the tone for your next 30 seconds of play.
And Berkeley, the story of this game is they haven't converted on those turnovers. Rossi tried to work the reverse layup, but saying no is Mikhail Jerome Kashaya.
And if Berkeley started converting on those turnovers, it'd be a much different game. But instead, SUNY ESF is in the lead right now.
And that's been Berkeley's bread and butter this season, is taking care of other teams' mistakes. They just haven't done that here for the first 16 minutes.
That was one of Coach Pena's keys to the game, is his team not making mistakes and capitalizing on the other team's mistakes. They haven't done it so far.
The 3 from the wing, well defended, as Emery trying to get that shooting stroke going. He shoots just about 33% from 3. Berkeley knocks down the tray. As it's Deshaun Moore. You really want to get him into a rhythm, as he's one of the better shooters in this conference.
This game was in a bit of a scoring drought for a few minutes. Now Berkeley kickstarted it. They're back in the lead. They're not used to being down.
Back and forth we go here in the opening 20 minutes. 3 minutes to play in the first half. Berkeley 34, ESF 33. Rossi in some traffic, grabs his own miss, and one. What an effort for the junior from Syracuse to get the bucket.
And he is doing everything on his own. He was fighting off elbows left and right, trying to duck under blocks and It was crazy down there in the paint, and Christian Rossi has been doing that this entire half. He's doing it all by himself.
Trying to go for the unconventional, old-school three-point play here, as he gives the Mighty Oaks the lead right back. Rossi, perfect swish through the netting, and the Mighty Oaks lead by 2. Mighty Oaks remain in that 2-3 zone. It's worked so far. A lot of threes coming from behind the arc, though, for Berkeley. They just haven't been able to cash in. Fast and stripper behind, but the Knights keep possession. Travel before the Euro step by Brunner. And the momentum, Gabe, you can start to feel it more and more from the Mighty Oaks.
And it was Reed Patchett who made that happen. With his size and with the way he just locks down on a defender, it is so hard to put up a shot or even get a pass off around him.
To the corner they go for Vince Davis. He is very trigger happy, but can't get the home roll here at OCC.
I would not have shot that. There was a height difference of 10 inches between him and Malachi Faison.
Ball pinballs around, finds the hands of Cox. 2 minutes to play in the first half. Mighty Oaks up by 2. Berkeley forces a steal on Rossi and no one back to take care of Deshaun Moore, as Rossi is a little slow getting back up.
Coach D'Antonio for the Mighty Oaks needs to take time out right now. They need to reset and just start scoring again.
We're all square at 36. 100 seconds left in the first half. Fadeaway jumper hits the front rim for Emery, but an offensive board for ESF and a fresh 20.
That's why one of their keys to the game for ESF was grab rebounds. That just created another offensive chance.
Now the question is, can the Mighty Oaks cash in on that extra chance? Rossi working baseline, good defense by Brunner. And the shot clock goes off. And picture-perfect defense there from Berkeley on both of the possessions.
And Rossi wasn't even thinking of getting a shot off. He was just trying to think of how to get out of the little pickle he was in on the baseline. That is the sign of a good defense. Make the offense forget that they have to shoot the ball.
All square at 36 between Berkeley and ESU. Rossi brings the ball over the center line. Patchett fouled as he was tripped up on his way inside the key.
And Patchett, once again, this is, I believe, his third time drawing a foul down low in the paint. I'd advise he keeps playing that way, because eventually late in the game, you might get one of the Berkeley players to foul out, and that will be key in scoring.
Mighty Oaks basketball, 50.2 seconds left. All even at 36 here in Allen Hall. They reverse it to the opposite corner. And Cox, he's had a tough day from behind the arc.
It's another guy that is a bit too trigger happy. Yes, he's open, but you don't have to take every shot. There may be a better shot down low later in the possession.
But credit to Cox running back on defense and tipping that basketball out of bounds.
I think a lot of the players, especially the starters for the Mighty Oaks, have been giving full effort 100% of the time in this first half.
Timeout on the floor. This one's going to be taken by Berkeley with just 34.5 seconds to play in the first half. When we talked a little bit in that first timeout, Gabe, it was 2-2 through 4 minutes. Now we got ourselves a combined 72 points. What has happened on the offensive end for either side?
I think that the pace just picked up, and they figured out how to play at that faster pace. Yes, there's been a lot of mistakes made on both sides, but they're starting to drop shots. They're starting to find their rhythm, both sides. They're starting to find which shots work for them and when they should take them. And they're also starting to figure out each other's defenses. They know how each other's defenses play. They know where the open shots will be wherever they are on the court.
This is a potential matchup we'll see next weekend in the HVIAC conference tournaments. And what better way to know your opponent than playing them the week prior?
And I don't think either of us were expecting this to be a tie game at this point in the game.
got to credit ESF fighting and scratching for every moment of this game against Berkeley. About an 8-second difference between shot clock and game clock, as Berkeley looking to run this one down to the last passable second. Five to shoot. To the corner they go for three. Too strong. ESF basketball as Deshaun Moore, a little too much air on that one.
Should certainly be considered a win for Coach D'Antonio and his squad if ESF goes into the half with the lead, because then they control the game from then on.
Mighty Oaks trying to look for this last shot of the first half as Coach D'Antonio gets that ball over half court, and we'll use a timeout. 7.1 seconds left in our first half.
It's been a really solid past 5 minutes for ESF. They took the lead about 5 minutes ago, and that's not a place that Berkeley has been in a lot this season. They're usually, especially in these conference games, in the lead the entire time. But when they're down, they seem to get a little confused on just how exactly to play, how exactly to handle that situation. And the Mighty Oaks have handled it really well, keeping at least a tie game or the lead all the way through.
Gabe Perrin and Andrew Del Piano live with you on ESFTV from Onondaga College, Community College. All tied at 36 between the Berkeley Knights and the ESF Mighty Oaks in this HVIAC matchup, the last one of the regular season, before we have conference tournament next weekend from Five Towns College.
Tomorrow, Berkeley heads back home to match up against Washington Adventist out of Maryland. They're 21-6 on this season, also a great team.
ESF's got to get this inbound. They do to Patchett, their top scorer, and a perfect play out of the timeout taken by John D'Antonio. The Knights are going to let it fly from deep, and what a better first half than that for the Mighty Oaks. They have the 38-36 lead over the Berkeley Knights.
Reed Patchett, it's been all about him, even at the end of the half. Just as he got that inbound, he pulled up and gave the Mighty Oaks the lead. They lead by 2.
We're 20 minutes in, 20 minutes to go here at Onondaga Community College. You're watching men's college basketball on ESF TV. More to come as ESF is up 38-36 over Berkeley. We welcome you back to Allen Hall on the campus of Onondaga Community College in Syracuse, New York. Through 20 minutes of play, our score ESF 38 and Berkeley 36. Gabe Parent and Andrew Del Piano with you on ESF TV. Gabe, what did you see in that first half from either side?
Well, it started out as a low-scoring affair, just 3 minutes in, and it was tied at 2-2, which is not normal at all for these two squads, but then it picked up. First, Berkeley took the lead with a lot of good shooting and a lot of really good fast-paced just transition plays, driving inside, just easy layups, just like that. But then ESF came back. They first tied it, and then they got hot shooting-wise. They started hitting their shots. They got back in the lead. It was tied for a bit, and then just at the end, Reed Patchett hit a floater, and they're up by 2 now, 38-36. Now, keys for the second half. Well, for ESF, I think they should try to slow down their game. I think they work better from a half-court kind of basketball where they can pull up, catch and shoot, or choose to drive inside. I'm thinking the opposite thing for Berkeley. They thrive when they play in transition because ESF has a really hard time catching up when they move in transition. ESF is a slower team, they're a faster team, and that's simple. They play in transition, they catch them off guard, they continue that full court press, and they will have a good shot to come out here with the win.
Such an important matchup as we wrap up the regular season here in Allen Hall at Onondaga Community College. Next weekend, we jump into the postseason tournament, and we're expecting to see these two teams at Five Towns College a week from now. As Gabe mentioned, our score after 20 minutes, ESF 38, Berkeley 36. The second half about to get underway as the Mighty Oaks try to defend the Forest once again as the home team.
And we weren't thinking this would be this close. It's not supposed to be this close. Berkeley is a team that on paper outmatches ESF in a lot of ways, including record and scoring by a pretty big margin. But the Mighty Oaks are a very scrappy team. They're fighting well, especially offensively. It's hard to get shots up against some of these taller guys on this Berkeley squad for a smaller ESF team, but they're doing it. Somehow they're finding a way. They're fighting their way through the paint and into the perimeter, putting up great shots.
And we saw shades of why Berkeley is 6-0 in this conference in that first half. But when they go on those little bit of the cold runs, other teams are going to pick up, and that's exactly what the Mighty Oaks did, taking care of what Berkeley wasn't able to do, and that was convert off turnovers.
And I think it goes back to they don't have a game plan in place for trailing.
Something that they haven't done very often this year, Gabe. Ball is in, second half is underway from OCC. Final game of the regular season for either side. Berkeley with a 3 to open the half from Moore for the offensive board. Pass inside, that one is way too easy for Coleman, who snuck in right behind the defense.
And that's what happens when you play the zone. Some lanes open, especially on the baseline where an attacker can just go through and lay it in just like that.
And just like that, we're back to square at 38-38. Rossi lets it fly from 3, and he has a little emotion after that 3.
Rossi's been fighting so hard all day to let a shot sink, and it finally does.
And he's really shown a lot of veteran leadership on this team, being one of the only older guys on this team as a junior. Getting close to that 12.5 mark that he averages this season. ESF is going to stay in that 2-3 zone as the 3 from Abdulin is short. But another offensive board for Berkeley. Coach Jonathan Pena asking for them to reset the offense, 10 to shoot. Working on the low block. What a beautiful touch that was from Justice Coleman.
Justice Coleman has been almost on fire out here today. It's hard to defend him because he puts shots up like that so quickly.
Mighty Oaks 41, Knights 40. Cox well defended by Moore. Patchett looking for his first bucket of the second half, and he does so as he rattles it home.
Reed Patchett so hard to defend because he can put shots up from anywhere on the court. He especially thrives in that mid-range area.
Inside pass collected by A.I. Bright. He's hit in the face off the catch. Keith Timmons returns to the game, replacing Matt McFarland, and what a first half it was for number 44 in white.
Keith Timmons standing at 6'8", 250. He is such a presence. He was playing in the paint, but he also made a three Jesse Edwards style earlier.
The Knights clean up another offensive board, and this has been a problem to start the second half for the Mighty Oaks. 3 misses for Berkeley, 3 offensive rebounds.
And that's why one of Coach D'Antonio's keys to the game was grab rebounds, because he knows that when Berkeley grabs offensive rebounds, they're going to score if you give them another chance.
Second chance opportunities are ones that come at a premium, and if you can do your job off the glass, you can get some easy points.
And that's why when we asked coaches, hey, what's your keys to the game? Both of them, the first thing they said, grab rebounds. It is that important.
You ask any college coach in America, and they'll give you that exact same answer, Gabe. ESF up by 1, 2.5 into the second half. Keith Timmons, the hot hand, the pull-up jumper. He just cannot miss today.
And he's done it from everywhere. That was just a long two, but he shot it from 3 earlier. He's fighting defenders off in the paint. He's very versatile despite his size.
Stepping out of bounds there right in front of us was Julio Wallace.
The Mighty Oaks find themselves up 3 now. Their biggest lead of the game, and now they have a chance to really take a hold of this game, grab it by its throat, and say, hey, this is our game. We're in charge now.
Smart play there on the defensive end by Tashawn Moore to deflect that off of Rossi as it was getting near the out-of-bounds line. But as you mentioned, Gabe, an important stretch here as the Mighty Oaks really have to take a grasp on this game.
And look at Berkeley right now. They're slowing it down. This isn't how they play usually. I think they're uncomfortable right now.
Moore has to throw up a circus shot after great defense. But again, the Mighty Oaks cannot control the glass, and Coach D'Antonio not happy with that call.
And they just reversed the call, actually, so.
Maybe his pleading did in fact work then.
I guess they did rebound correctly. They didn't grab the rebound, but they are getting the ball back. And once again, this is so important, especially when you're leading.
Mighty Oaks keeping possession is getting a little careless again on the inbound passes. That full court press for Berkeley. It's been hot and cold tonight.
You can tell it's really bothering them. Berkeley has to keep it up this entire last about 16 minutes of the game.
Rossi with no play has to use a timeout for his own sake, and it is granted by the official. 16:43 to go in the ball game. ESF 45, Berkeley 42.
He took that timeout and just started shaking his head, Andrew, because Rossi's been fighting, scrapping all over this court the entire game, and he hasn't really been rewarded. Yes, he's put some shots up, but that full court press is really getting to the Mighty Oaks offense, and they have to find some way to get around it.
Gabe Perrin and Andrew Del Piano with you live on ESF TV. Thank you for joining us inside of Allen Hall at Onondaga Community College. The ESF Mighty Oaks hosting the Berkeley Knights. 16:43 left in regulation, and the Mighty Oaks clinging on to a 3-point lead. Fresh out of the timeout, the Mighty Oaks will inbound. Knights leading scorer Mark Combs returns to the lineup. He had an impressive first half, and he's going to want that one back. Thought he had a strip from behind, but the official said just a little too in on the reach.
Christian Rossi, by the way, is showing his toughness. He's been out on the floor almost every minute of this game, and Berkeley is throwing everything they have at him, but still, he's tough. He's fighting through it really well.
Timmons, a rare mistake from him today as Berkeley out in transition. Look at the Knights run and gun as it's an easy layup. AI Bright gets the 2 points, and now it's back to a 1-point game. In and out crossover from Emery, who dishes it off, but missing there is Patchett.
When you're up against Berkeley, you just cannot miss that.
And it was all set up by the perfect ball handling by Emery, but his teammate couldn't take care of it. Battle for the basketball. Berkeley comes out of the pack with it. Combs from the wing. Good effort by A.I. Bright to keep that in, but that foot right on the out-of-bounds line.
Keith Timmons, while it did go to Mighty Oaks, Timmons had 5 inches on A.I. Bright. You have to just get up and grab that rebound.
And Deshaun Moore, who is one of the better three-point shooters in this conference at 37%, has had a tough go of it. The Mighty Oaks missing another easy bunny and some frustration from the ESF bench. Slicing his way through the defense is Julio Wallace, and he'll slow things down and get to the line.
Julio Wallace is one of the more athletic players on this Knights squad. I love seeing him carve through the paint like that and draw fouls. It's a really easy way to get to the line.
And he's been an elite scorer over these last 5 games, averaging about 16 points per game during that span, and shooting the ball extremely efficient at 55% from the field. Back iron on the first free throw. Gabe, you mentioned earlier how many scoring threats Berkeley has on this team, but credit to ESF, they have contained this offense very well through this first 24 minutes or so.
They really have. Like I said earlier, 6 players averaging over double digits, but they know how to contain them. They have done it very well. They're limiting the 3 as well, which is really impressive.
Foul in the backcourt as Mark Combs has his hands up in displeasure as the foul goes against him. Rossi trying to escape the trap, and he does so over the timeline to Davis. What a move by Patchett on the reverse drive.
What great basketball IQ by Patchett to know to put up the reverse there and put the Mighty Oaks back in the lead. Momentum is going their way.
A.I. Bright couldn't keep a handle on the pass from Moore. And this is not a feeling that the Berkeley Knights are used to, trailing in the second half.
And you can tell they're feeling it because they have doubled down on their full court press, barely letting them get off of the baseline.
Rossi in some traffic, the kick out to Emery. The drive into the paint. Look at the athleticism from number 25.
Another great move.
And the Mighty Oaks get another turnover, this time Vince Davis on the receiving end.
What about that run for the Mighty Oaks? They're up by 6 all of the sudden.
6-0 run as a foul goes against ESF. It's Vince Davis committing the crime for the Mighty Oaks.
It's his second, but a great play by Vince Davis on the other end. In that situation, you got to be heads up, and Vince Davis was. Catch them napping at any point possible. That is exactly what Davis did, and it resulted in 2 points for the Mighty Oaks.
Credit to him, Gabe. He's one of the smaller guys on the floor at 5'7", but heart over height, as Isaiah Thomas used to say.
He's been showing that so far today. He has been all over the place. Him and Christian Rossi, 2 of the shorter guys out there, but probably 2 most hard-working guys on the court for ESF.
It's not always just your starters who can get the job done. It's also that 6th and 7th man, and Vince Davis and Keith Timmons have done exactly that for the home team.
On those inbounds, you got to get it past the baseline. They keep passing it to Christian Rossi, who's just sitting there on the baseline, and yes, you get it in, but then immediately Berkeley traps you, and they can barely get it out.
Davis will run point on the possession. In and out of the hands of Patchett. Brunner back the other way. No contest from behind by Patchett.
Honestly, smart there from Patchett to not contest that. They need him. later on.
And after the Oaks went on a little mini run there, Berkeley has answered right back. That defense is getting a little bit more stifling. Timmons off the mark. Defensive board pulled down by Wallace. In out of the hands of Kenneth Hines. Ball is all over the floor here inside of OCC.
They'll get the ball back, but you have to be more heads up when you're making that pass because it was directly to two Knights players. There wasn't even really anyone open on the SF end.
The turnovers are starting to pile up for either side, but the question is, who can make the most of those turnovers? Another one committed by the Mighty Oaks. Berkeley 2-on-1 back the other way, and Brunner capitalizes on the error.
We talked about it in the first half. Berkeley wasn't really taking advantage of the turnovers. Now we're seeing it. Now they are.
Couple of putback opportunities for Timmons. And Davis throws right between his teammates' legs. Knights in transition. Great pass by Combs, but no good from Fasten. Easy bunnies being missed at either end, Gabe.
We're seeing it get a little sloppier on both ends. These teams might need a timeout to shape things up.
7 minutes played in the second half, all even at 51 apiece. A hand check given by Julio Wallace. His second foul of the evening. Fourth foul for Berkeley, 3 for ESF.
Mac McFarland in now. He averages 5.2 a game. He hasn't really contributed too much on the offensive end, but defensively, he's made himself heard.
Patchett loses it in the low block. Wallace, the reverse layup following the foul.
And just like that, ESF loses that 6-point lead. They're now down 2. They have to stay focused.
The Knights have gone on an 8-0 run. It's all because of plays like that, forcing the steal on defense. Combs trying to turn it into offense, and he does with a 3 in front of the bench. And Mighty Oaks answer back a much-needed 2 from Patchett, as that stops a 10-0 Berkeley run. And just like that, the Knights are right back into it in front of the Mighty Oaks.
And if there's anyone you can count on in this gym to hit that mid-range, it's not Andrew Della Piana. It's Reed Patchett.
12:06 to go in our ball game. What a stretch it's been for the Berkeley Knights. And ESF, what has happened in the second half? It's just been turnover, possession after possession.
They're not looking at where their passes are going. They're making the passes because they see someone open in the distance, but they're not stopping for just a half second and considering who's in the way, who could tip it, who could pull it out of midair. And also, they're not being physical enough. In the first half, we saw Reed Patchett, Keith Timmons getting really, really physical down inside and in transition. That went away. Now they're just letting the ball get taken away from them for whatever reason. They have to get more physical. They have to assert themselves in the paint.
Berkeley, one of the best teams in the conference, the best I should say, at 11 steals per game. Feels like that number is at 20-25 just in this second half alone.
And they're just doing it, it seems like every possession. ESF goes down, it looks like they may have a shot, but for some reason, somehow, some way, that ball escapes them, and it turns into a Berkeley score.
That's mini 6-0 run by ESF has completely flipped on its head as Berkeley answers with a 10-0 run of their own, leading by 3, just 12 minutes and change left in our ball game. Gabe Perrin and Andrew Del Piano with you on ESFTV. Thank you for joining us this evening. Berkeley ball following the timeout. Wallace will swing it back to the top of the key as Brunner will get the offense going. 3 from the wing by Wallace as he's unguarded. Offensive board for Hines, the big man getting it done on the glass.
That's really the first we've seen out of Hines.
Another steal, Combs. And it's just turnover after turnover for ESF.
And it seems like that timeout did almost nothing for the Mighty Oaks. They went back to their old ways.
7-point deficit, make it 4. A much-needed 3 in the corner from Andrew Cox.
I like that. Keep doing that. Keep pulling up from 3 because early in the first half, that was their brand. They made it their thing, and it worked for a long time.
Now the Mighty Oaks want to run. Rossi draws the foul. And wow, this game has really picked up, Gabe, as end-to-end they go here at OCC.
About the first 8 minutes before that timeout of the second half, it was a slower-paced game. But now, this past minute, like you said, fast pace, and both teams seem to be thriving, especially the Mighty Oaks in the past minute.
These conference games, they just mean more. Not to quote the SEC, but you know how we do things here in the HV.
They really do.
Rossi to the line with his team down by 4, make it 3. He's been there a number of times tonight. Was 7 of 8 from the line in the last game against Bryant and Stratton Rochester in that loss, where they just put up 47 points, answering back with 57 and 11 minutes left.
And what the Mighty Oaks have continued to prove this season and in this game is that they're not going to give up. No matter how far they're down, no matter what run the other team is on, they're going to come back.
Back to a 2-point game. Combs tried to take that step behind the arc, but didn't realize he had enough room. ESF's going to stick with that zone, but Combs wide open in the corner. Do not let that man open.
He didn't start, but he is their leading scorer with 17 a game. You just can't leave him open like that.
And that pass was just a little too easy for Brunner. Pull-up jumper. Can't get the friendly roll is Emery. The Knights up by 5, 10.5 to go. Too strong in the layup is Nsungu. Mighty Oaks basketball.
Nsungu was getting really physical down there in the paint. I thought he would make that shot, that little reverse move he put up. That's what we need to see more from both of these squads, actually.
Berkeley has caught fire from behind the arc. They lead by 5. Intercepting that pass is Moore. Combs, how about another? Can't get the double dose. Not the foul you wanted from Berkeley, 90 feet away from the bucket, as that is team foul number 6.
Sometimes fouls are called good fouls. That was most certainly not a good foul. That was a bad foul. Just adds to the total. And when you're up 5, you can't take away momentum from yourself like that.
One more Berkeley foul, and the Mighty Oaks will be in a bonus. And there it is.
Wow. That was quick.
10:07 to play in this game, and a massive opportunity for the Mighty Oaks here to be in the bonus. You want to drive to the rim about every possession you can to get to the line.
Pretty much, and not just a massive opportunity now, but for the rest of the game. This does not go away. 10 full minutes in the bonus, that's almost unheard of. That's a huge mistake from the Knights, and it'll benefit the Mighty Oaks a ton.
One of the downfalls of that full court press is you do get into foul trouble, and we've already seen it in the second half by Berkeley. Offensive board finds the hands of McFarland, who missed the free throw. Timmons can't corral the pass in the low block. Combs, look how deep into his back he goes. Oh, that was pretty.
What a move from Mark Combs. That's why he's their leading scorer, because he does things like that, maneuvering around defenders and laying it in.
He was in his bag like the fries were at the bottom, Gabe. Oh, that is a shifty number 12 out there.
Woo!
Matt McFarland drawing another foul on the offensive end. As again, just like we mentioned, the Mighty Oaks in that 1-and-1 bonus, they have to take advantage of this. McFarland misses another. Another tray from the Knights off the mark. Foul goes against the Mighty Oaks. This one will be on the floor before the shot attempt.
The Mighty Oaks still all right in foul trouble-wise right now, but keep in mind, they are down 7. Maybe use some of those fouls to give late in the game, but on the other end, They're in the bonus right now. Any foul is a one-on-one for them. They need to take advantage of that on offense.
Mark Combs has absolutely taken over this game in this second half as the Knight lead has been extended to 7. And some clear frustration right now for the home team.
And what else would we expect from Mark Combs? And I just heard John D'Antonio, head coach for the Mighty Oaks, say control yourself. That's what they need to do, the Mighty Oaks, because they don't look like they're in control right now. Even when they were down earlier in the first half, they still looked like they knew what they were doing. They knew that they were still in control of the game. Right now, that is not the case.
9.5 left in the ball game. The the Knights with their largest lead of 7 make it 9 following the bucket from Unsungyu.
Once again, it's that zone leaving lanes open, especially on the baseline. You have to find a way, if you're ESF, to close those gaps because that is where they're scoring time and time again.
And another foul committed by Berkeley. And Gabe, in that sense now, the Mighty Oaks just need one more foul from Berkeley to be in the double bonus, to get 2 shots at the line.
And it's been less than a minute since they got into the bonus. So for the Knights, you have to question, hey, what's going on, guys? Can we stop? Because they're still full court pressing just as hard, if not harder, than they were before. Maybe rethink that before you get in too much trouble.
But if you know Coach Jonathan Pena, he is a guy that doesn't shy away from physicality, and that's exactly what his group brings to the table each and every night.
And I can't attest that too much because it has worked for this squad for the seasons before and this season.
Rossi back to the charity stripe, knocking down the first of 2. Does his job as the Knights lead is down to 7. Still a lot of work to do for the Mighty Oaks. Jahadu Brunner slices through the lane. Straightaway 3 from Bright. Climbing the ladder is Keith Timmons for the glass.
That's what we need to see more from Timmons. Get up there, grab that ball out of midair, and create more chances for your offense.
Timmons, who had an incredible first half, has almost disappeared in the second. Knights in transition off the miss. Offensive foul goes against Berkeley.
And talk about a momentum shift. You can feel it in the Mighty Oaks faithful. They're getting louder and louder. Yes, they're down 7, but they are chipping away at that lead. Now they're looking a lot more competent on the offensive end.
Still a lot of time left, 8:34, but that lead at 7 for Berkeley. Another full court press turnover results in another bucket. This defense has been stifling.
Again, this started earlier in the half. It's Patrick Emery who's on the inbound. He's just giving it to Rossi, who's sitting right on the baseline, right near him. And then he gets trapped. Rossi gets trapped and doesn't know where to go. That's why there's so many turnovers that the Mighty Oaks are giving up, and that's why Berkeley is capitalizing on all of those turnovers, because it's right under their basket.
We're going to get an off-ball foul here against Nsunga, as now that is the 10th team foul against Berkeley, and the Mighty Oaks will be shooting 2 free throws for every foul for the rest of this game.
I guess Coach Pena's philosophy now is, who cares? We're already in the double bonus. But still, you have to be concerned about your players fouling out because they have some key scorers like Mark Combs, Jahadu Brunner, a lot of other guys on the court right now that could foul out pretty easily pretty soon.
Kieran Hefferman at the line. As some substitutions into the game for the Mighty Oaks. 8:24 to play. Berkeley 69, ESF 61. Final game of the regular season before we take on the conference tournament next weekend from Five Towns College. As the Mighty Oaks try to knock off the top team in the conference. Vince Davis, he's been a nice spark plug off the bench today. He'll replace Hefferon, who knocks down both free throws.
Him and Christian Rossi, smaller guys, but they play with a ton of energy. If they want to start a run, those are the guys you want in.
Berkeley now into the low block. Intercepting that pass is Emery right in the passing lane, read it like a book. Rossi back the other way, off the glass and in, was looking for the foul.
Rossi once again going into his first half form, getting physical, going into the paint with the intention of either scoring or drawing a foul.
Underneath the basket they go for the Knights. Look at the ball movement from Berkeley on the possession. Bright on the drive. 6 to shoot for the visitors. Now a corner three from Moore. He cashes in.
In that whole possession, the Mighty Oaks were doing a great job of closing that gap on the baseline, but that left the perimeter wide open for that three.
Knights up by 8. Rossi, no good in the painted area.
Christian Rossi putting his body on the line.
Berkeley quickly back the other way as the transition game has been their forte. Now their largest lead of the game at 10. Last off the jersey of Patrick Emery, as now the lead for the Knights has inflated to 10 with 7 minutes to play.
Patrick Emery has some decent size as well, standing at 6'5", 200. When he drives in the paint, he's a force to be reckoned with. I think he just needs to be a bit more confident in the way he drives in because he looks a little timid. He's trying to lay it in from a bit too far away.
The Knights with the ball and the lead. Trying to take care of the rest of this game and end the regular season with a perfect conference record as we have a kickball against ESF. Three ball from Bright, front rim, offensive board. Coleman. Knights let it fly again.
When the Mighty Oaks get a chance offensively, they have to score because they're down 10. 6.5 minutes to go. It's a decent amount of time, but it's not a ton of time either. So when they get a shot, they have to make sure it's a good one.
And the Mighty Oaks, you got to drive to the paint and draw some more fouls. You're in the double bonus for the rest of the game. Rossi, right-hand dribble. Now has to dish it out. Emery, couple of crossovers, tried to fish it out. But fortunately enough for the Mighty Oaks. Deshaun Moore couldn't keep a grasp on it.
Again, I think the Mighty Oaks are moving at a bit too fast of a pace right now. If they want to score, if they want to find good shots, they will have to slow it down because Berkeley and their defense love when the offense is too fast because that's when they just swipe in and grab the ball off a pass or just out of the offender's hands.
And if you're the Mighty Oaks, you have to go on a run sooner or later because you never know how large this Knight lead is going to get. Davis from the corner. There it is. Maybe the start of something special here in the latter half of the second half. A big three from Vince Davis. He's been the go-to guy from behind the arc. And just as I said, the Mighty Oaks now down by 7 with 6 minutes to play.
And there we go. That time around, they let the shot clock get down all the way to 7. They have to go 20 seconds or more on each possession to be able to find that good shot. Vince Davis caught the ball and knew it as soon as it was coming to him, really, that he was going to shoot that. And it worked. Find more good shots like that, you may be back in this game.
Gabe Perrin and Andrew Del Piano with you live on ESF TV inside of Allen Hall at Onondaga Community College. You're watching HVIAC men's basketball. The Berkeley Knights at the ESF Mighty Oaks, with the Knights leading 74-67. 5:54 remains in half number 2. Still a lot of basketball left, Gabe. What do the Mighty Oaks have to do in order to get this lead down to a couple points?
Simply stay calm. Yes, Berkeley's in the lead. Yes, they're in the lead by 7. But They've been in the spot before in this game. Earlier it was 9, now it's 7. Earlier it was 10, now it's 7. Earlier in the first half, they were down 5, they were down 6. Then they came back, they were leading at halftime. Remember, if you're the Mighty Oaks, that you have been in the spot before and you have taken the lead before. So just treat it like that. Stay calm, know that you've been in this place before, and play with that in mind.
This is a scrappy Mighty Oak team trying to get another conference win and end their season on a high note. Berkeley back to work on the offensive end. Wallace to the corner. Baseline drive by Coleman, but he stepped out of bounds. The official on the baseline right on it to make the call.
Sometimes when these games get too fast, it's hard to remember the little things like staying in bounds. You get caught up in getting around your defender and things like that. Great job by the Mighty Oaks forcing him out of bounds.
Reed Patchett, he's been very quiet in this second half. The Mighty Oaks have to get him going. Rossi, a circus shot through the trees. A bad shot by number 1. And it leads to an easy run out for the Knights.
For Christian Rossi, I just have no clue why you take that shot. You were almost triple teamed, and you have other players on the court right now that you could have easily passed it to, and they could have scored.
Another steal by Wallace. He's done his due diligence. Averages about 2 steals per game. Perfect example of why he gets his hand in the passing lane and then ultimately draws the foul.
Yes, he's fast when he starts sprinting down the court, but more importantly, he's quick in really short bursts. Just like that, when he got the steal, he took off running, and it was really hard for the Mighty Oaks defense to catch up with him without fouling.
Berkeley up by 9, but some miscommunication between Coleman and Moore. Over the top go the Mighty Oaks. Patchett able to get his man to bites. Another odd man rush for the Knights, and it results in 2 to Sean Moore.
To Sean Moore, actually the shortest player on the Berkeley squad, only at 6 feet tall, went up and around Embry to score that one.
Soft touch by Rossi, back to a 9-point game. The pace picking up inside of OCC. Foul goes against the Mighty Oaks.
Patrick Emery not happy with that one. 2 fouls on 2 possessions for him. And he needs to start playing a little more smart.
I'll let everyone in this gym kind of catch their breaths. Everyone at the free throw area a little hunched over now as we get to the late stages of this game.
And this has been a grind through and through all 40 minutes that will be played. We predicted it earlier. It was going to be a dogfight, and it has been. And although the Mighty Oaks are down 10, they are still fighting as hard as they can.
Berkeley exploding in this second half. Just a point shy away from the 80-burger. Davis working downhill. Now the kick, the 3 for Emery. Bang!
What a dish by Vince Davis.
Down to a 6-point game as Jonathan Pena needs to talk things over with this team in a timeout.
Davis saw the vision.
But Gabe, a much-needed 3 for Emery. And the Mighty Oaks crawling, scratching back into this game, right on the verge of it, but still a lot of damage to do with 4:02 to play.
It seems like ever since we hit the 10-minute mark in this half, the past 6 minutes, they've been sitting at this weird spot between being down 6 and being down 10. They just can't break through and get within a possession or two.
79-72 our score inside of OCC with 4:03 to play. For ESF, it's going to be a stop and score game at this point, and every possession mattering in the final 4 minutes, something we like to call crunch time.
This is where it gets real. For the Mighty Oaks, you're down 7, and you have to start your run now. It's not a thing anymore where it's, oh, eventually we'll get on a run and get back into the game. It is now you have to get back in and run, because runs take time to develop. They don't just appear out of thin air. You have to start a foundation of the run first before you even get on the run. Establish the mood of the game.
Quickly into the front court go the Knights. Offensive board, and the Mighty Oaks cannot clean up the glass. And plays like that have been the deciding factor today. Berkeley up by 9 with 3.5 to go. Mighty Oaks need points in a hurry. A long 2 by Cox is short. And Berkeley, they can slow things down now with the lead. But the Knights, they don't want to do that, as Brunner try to add an extra 2 to his total. Letting it fly is Emery. Getting a whistle here after the rebound.
While Andrew Cox hasn't really made his contributions heard on the offensive end, he's been fighting for the rebounds time and time again. He made a 3 or 2 earlier in the first half, but the second half he's been cold. But trust me, he's on the court, and you can tell.
It definitely has not been his day from trifecta land, as the freshman showing a little bit of that youthfulness here today. Both free throws are good for the freshman from New York. 3:06, 7-point Knight lead. Berkeley trying to improve to 15-10 overall and 7-0 in the conference. Combs, a jump stop, throws it up and draws the whistle.
And for Combs, that play started in the corner.
Excuse me, Gabe, a travel called beforehand by the official in front of the scorer's table. The two had a quick discussion, nonverbal communication of if it was a foul or a travel. The official in front of the scorer's table must have had a better vantage point.
And that changes a lot, actually. Now the Mighty Oaks get the ball back down 7. That's not a lot.
Matt McFarland with the turnover. Couple of chances for the Knights, and there it is for Fashion.
And that is why offensive rebounds are so key. That was 3 in a row for just Fasten. That's it, not even the team itself. And now they're up 9.
Mighty Oaks in quite the hole with down by 9 with 2 and a change to play. As Berkeley just trying to ride this one out. The foul total has really gotten up there for Berkeley in the second half.
The time hasn't quite come yet, but pretty soon, I'd say with about a minute and a half to go, it's desperation mode for the Mighty Oaks.
Absolutely need these free throws from Red Patchett. And credit to the Berkeley defense. They've done their homework on this guy and have really kept him in check in this game, the leading scorer for the Mighty Oaks coming into today.
The first 10 minutes of the game, he was running this entire game, but then, especially after halftime, the Knights figured him out. And if they let him cook, then this would have been a very different game.
Seven-point lead for the Knights. They go all the way into the front courts, and it's getting too easy on the offensive end for Berkeley, as now they've tied their season average of 85 points. Rossi on the hard drive downhill. Some frustration on the sideline from John D'Antonio. Exactly 2 minutes showing on the clock and his team down by 9.
And going back to that other possession, if you're pressing, the Mighty Oaks, if you're pressing, you cannot leave anyone open. Wallace was down there wide open, and they just let him score just like that.
The Mighty Oaks have left a lot of points at the free throw line today. And it's been one of the couple of reasons today that things just have not gone their way.
Mark Combs just walked in front of Rossi while he took the shot. Rossi made the shot. Someone on the bench or in the crowd said that's a violation, ref, but clearly not.
Looks like everyone got a good laugh out of it, though, Gabe. 8-point lead. Quickly, Berkeley inbounds the basketball. But if you're the Knights here, you just want to eat as much clock as possible. And Coach Jonathan Pena going to use a timeout there to articulate that to his team. 1:50 to go. Berkeley 85, ESF 77. And as I mentioned, Gabe, Berkeley tying their season average of 85 points. You knew they were going to get theirs, and Mark Combs has been a hurricane through the forest in the second half.
He's so hard to defend because he's a smaller guy, but he is so quick. He gets around defenders without the defenders even really knowing. All of a sudden, he'll just show up in the corner right here and take a shot. There's not a lot of players that can have that ability to be so quiet and so quick about the way they're doing things and just surprise defenders by being in somewhere that they wouldn't even expect him to be.
And there's a reason Mark Combs is one of the best players in scoring in this conference. We mentioned best three-point percentage in the HVIAC entering this one. And Mark Combs has really made his mark in this one.
Good one.
1:50 to play. Berkeley basketball, 85-77. The Knights on top, trying to close out this regular season with a perfect 7-0 conference record as they are in search of their 8th straight conference title. Mighty Oaks are bringing the double team. Good work by the Mighty Oaks, getting that ball quickly out of the hands of Combs.
That's probably the best thing they can do right now. Start, stop, tire the Knights out. I wouldn't start fouling yet. There's still too much time on the clock to do that. But just tire them out, hope for a turnover. That's the best you can do.
Absolutely need a stop here. Open three for Brights, an air ball. Rossi from his knees, gets it out. Emery slices. Rossi straightaway three, bang! 5-point game with 1:20 to go.
A very different game after that three. Christian Rossi making his voice heard.
Over the top on the alley-oop to Fashion, but swatting it away is Matt McFarland, who hasn't had the best of games for the Mighty Oaks today. But Coach Jan Antonio keeping his trust in the veteran to keep him out there in crunch time. Not something that the Mighty Oaks wanted, a foul.
That may have been their best case scenario because it looked like Fasten pretty much had that locked up as an easy bucket. So now you force him to the line, and there's a better chance that he misses these. He's a 39% shooter from the stripe.
Free throws win basketball games, Gabe, and Berkeley has taken care of their job at the charity stripe today, something we cannot say about the Mighty Oaks.
And Fasten, a presence in the paint. That's how you draw fouls. Get in the paint, put up enough shots, you will get to the free throw line. You just will.
6-point game with 60 seconds to go. The Mighty Oaks are in a hurry. They got to move a little bit quicker than this, Gabe.
They need to take a shot.
Eating a lot of time off this possession. Rossi from behind the arc. Huge rebound pulled down by Brunner, and he's fouled in the front court. I like the work that the Mighty Oaks did on that possession, but that ate up a lot of time left on this clock.
They wasted about 10 to 12 seconds there of just passing the ball around. And at this point, you're not looking for a good shot anymore. You're looking for a shot.
1-and-1 opportunity for the Knights to try to salt this game away. Jahadu Brunner at the line, swishes home the first. An 80% free throw shooter for the sophomore from Brooklyn, New York.
Probably one of the better guys to have at the stripe in this situation to put this game away.
Off the mark on the second free throw. 7-point game, 40 seconds left. Rossi hustles down the floor with the layup. Timeout, ESF. That only took about 4 seconds off the miss. Christian Rossi doing everything he can to keep the Mighty Oaks in it.
And that's exactly how you conduct a possession at this point in the game. You're down 7, now 5. You have a miss, and pretty much you give it to Christian Rossi, who is super quick. He can get down the court really fast and say, get down the court as quick as you can and put it in, which is exactly what he did. That's exactly what you need in this moment. And now you either play the foul game or on the inbound, play the turnover game. It's up to them.
And what an appetizer this game has been, as we'll see the main course next weekend in the conference tournament. But the Mighty Oaks really proving to you, the rest of the conference, that they can hang with the best of the best. And still 36 seconds left, 5-point game. The Mighty Oaks aren't out of it, but in a slim position. But as I mentioned, ESF, a lot of confidence heading into the tournament next weekend, despite the result of today.
And is this the home game for ESF? Yes. Will next weekend be a neutral site game? Yes. However, this team has proven that they can hang with the best in the conference. Should they have? Probably not. No one expected this, but they are.
It's a team that has bested the Mighty Oaks 2 times in the last 2 years, one being in the playoffs 2 years ago. Now the Mighty Oaks have to foul a hard one taken by Emery. But that's not the guy you wanted to take to the line in Mark Combs.
Not at all. He is shooting 76% from the stripe and averaging 17 points a game. He has been absolutely on fire from all parts of the court throughout this game. It's been really impressive.
He's really left his fingerprint on this ball game for the Knights. Complete takeover mode. Fortunate bounce for Combs as he takes a sigh of relief at the free throw line.
Thing is, for the Mighty Oaks, they fouled him within 3 seconds, so they will have time to score again, and when they score, they'll foul again, and they'll have time. So hope is not lost yet.
30 seconds to play. The Mighty Oaks trailing by 7. Stripped on the way up is Emery. And that'll stop the clock with 26.1 seconds left. If you're a Mighty Oaks fan, though, not the worst case scenario. You get points when the clock stops.
Exactly, and then you're not wasting time. And Emery as well, a fairly good free throw shooter, just under 70%.
Now, Gabe, are you a little surprised that the Mighty Oaks haven't attacked the basket more, being in the double bonus for half of this second half?
You'd think they would have, and I disagree with some of the mid-range shots and threes they've taken in the second half since they got in the double bonus. They've been in the double bonus for over 9 minutes, and we really haven't seen them driving the paint that much, especially with Reed Patchett, who actually isn't even on the court right now and should be driving and driving and driving.
Taking care of both free throws is Emery for a 5-point Knight lead. That's once again the Mighty Oaks going to play the foul game, and with that 10th team foul for ESF, Berkeley has entered the double bonus.
Well, that's bad news for the Mighty Oaks. They're down 5. That's 2 possessions. It's not that hard. 22 seconds is somehow a lot of time when you're fouling.
And they got to hope and pray for misses like that. Deshaun Moore, not one of the better free throw shooters on this team, just shooting at a 69.5 mark. But this is what decides the close games, taking care of your free throws. And he misses both. Defensive rebound for Rossi. He's got to run. Davis, sidestep 3. He got it! Now a 2-point game with 13 seconds left. The tree has not fallen yet, Gabe.
What a sequence there from the Mighty Oaks. That pass almost didn't get off. It was almost picked out of midair but it got to Vince Davis, and Vince Davis, who has been scrappy all night, put up a miracle three, and it went in with 13 seconds. They have a ton of time, and they are only down 2. What an effort from the Mighty Oaks, Andrew.
You talked about not getting the best shot available, but a shot. That was a shot that Vince Davis took, and he drained it. A much-needed one, as now it's just a 2-point game. And Berkeley missing their free throws at the offensive end cost them on the defensive side.
The Mighty Oaks have been putting up a great effort, but at some point it's about luck. It was lucky that Tashawn Moore missed both of those free throws, and it was lucky that that pass even got to Vince Davis. But Vince Davis took a great shot, and honestly was a great look, and he made it. And that's all that matters, and what matters now, they're down by 2. They're in this game.
And Vince Davis, a guy who averages just about 4.5 points per game, hits the double-digit mark for the first time this season. So congratulations to number 4 in the sophomore from Harlem, New York, as he's been at one of his best performances of the season. And the inbound is stolen by the Mighty Oaks, and he traveled as he hit the ground. A sigh of relief for the Berkeley Knights, as the Oaks got the steal, but a travel as Andrew Cox fell to the floor.
A very confusing sequence there from Andrew Cox. He was trying to take a timeout while he was holding the ball. And Coach D'Antonio was trying to plead as well.
Coach Pena taking a timeout as ESF nearly got that basketball back, and what a final possession that would have been. 10.8 seconds left. Berkeley up by 2. The Mighty Oaks, you've got to keep that pressure on and not let that ball get inbounds.
What we saw there is kind of a door to the Mighty Oaks saying, hey, maybe we don't have to foul. Maybe we can get it off the inbound. Maybe you put a guy like Keith Timmons on the inbound, get his arms up, not let it even get off. But they've got a lot of quick guys. They got guys that can poke balls out of players' hands really easily. We've seen it so many times in this contest, more on the Knights end, but the Mighty Oaks have been doing a really good job at it as well.
And we also want to mention that the possession arrow is in favor of ESF. So if you're able to get that jump ball, it's your basketball. So do everything you can to tie that ball up without fouling, because it's yours if you tie it up.
We've seen this game get progressively more and more physical as it goes on, and as it gets closer, that works to the Mighty Oaks' advantage because, like you said, possession arrow in their favor. That is huge, Andrew.
And the refs might let them play a little bit in the final 10.8 seconds left, but Berkeley has to inbound this ball and knock down their free throws.
Andrew Cox, 6'5", guarding the inbound from 6 foot to Tashawn Moore. Well, I'm watching that.
2 officials having a word with Jonathan Pena. Not sure what is regarding on the Berkeley bench. Just getting a confirmation that that inbound violation doesn't carry over after a timeout. So Berkeley will have a fresh 5 to get it in. As there's the foul taken by Davis, and they foul Jahada Brunner.
Great work by Moore and Brunner to get that in successfully. Now you got 9.7 seconds. Still a lot of time for the Mighty Oaks, and pretty much right now, you pray that Brunner misses one.
It was the best case scenario for the Knights as A, you got the ball in bounds, and B, you got it to your best free throw shooter.
You do, 80% best on the team. There's no one I would trust more, really. He's the second leading scorer on the team, averaging 16.8 a game.
And ESF, no timeouts remaining. Berkeley still has one in their back pocket. Cool, calm, and collected as Jahada Brunner takes care of the first, but still needs the second. Situational substitution in for the Mighty Oaks to get the big man, Reed Patchett, into the game.
Brunner, Combs, and a lot of these starters on this Berkeley squad have been so calm all day, and it's very impressive seeing what they're doing to handle the pressure situations.
Brunner, too strong. The Mighty Oaks have an opportunity. 5 seconds, down by 3. The Mighty Oaks got to get it off. Davis lets it go, and it's no good, and this one is a final.
What a game that was, Andrew. It went down to the final buzzer. Even though Berkeley won, I must say, ESF put in its outstanding effort. What a game they played. Getting back in that game, staying in the game the whole time. The lead was never more than 10 for the Knights. That was incredibly impressive.
What a ball game we saw today at OCC. Our final score, Berkeley 90, ESF 87. You just mentioned it, Gabe. The Mighty Oaks, they proved a lot here on Saturday afternoon, and they got to take that momentum into next weekend for the conference tournament. What are your final thoughts on tonight's game?
Well, I think this is the best loss you could possibly have going into the postseason. This is a confidence loss, as they say. It's the best thing you can have without winning. So ESF are in great shape for the postseason. Yes, they may have lost this game, but right now that doesn't matter. Right now, they're prepared to face either Berkeley or Villa Maria in the postseason.
It should be a good matchup in Five Towns College next weekend, as we will most likely see these two teams square off again. Berkeley moving to 5-10 after the victory. They go to a 7-0 conference record, a perfect one, as they're in search of their 8th conference title. And for the Mighty Oaks, dropping their 12th game of the season, they go to 3-3 in conference play. But for Gabe, credit the Mighty Oaks on an outstanding performance today. Berkeley was just too good down the stretch, and credit to Mark Combs, who just absolutely took over in the second half.
Yeah, and you have to actually, I wouldn't say pregame. I'd pick Vince Davis as the guy that almost saved this game for the Mighty Oaks, but he did. And also Mark Combs, somehow for some reason he didn't start, but later in the first half, he came in and showed everyone how to play basketball correctly. He ran this game. He deserves this win.
As we mentioned, next weekend we'll take care of the conference tournaments. But this concludes our 3rd season of college basketball coverage on ESFTV, and we want to take a moment to thank those names you'll see on the screen. In addition, recognize all those ESF and CNY stream students who came before us. Jacob Charno, Philip Galati, Charlie Fellows, Gabe Perrin, and Arnav Barkal are a few. Finally, a special shout out to our dear friends Audria Rossignol and Keith Beach. Congratulations to them and our colleagues Trey Redfield and Arjun Menden from the beginning of college sports on ESF TV. So once again, on behalf of our outstanding broadcasting crew and my partner Gabe Perrin, I'm Andrew Del Piana. Thank you for joining us. ESF Oaks Basketball is a production of ESF TV in association with CNY Stream. Final score, Berkeley 90, ESF 87. So long from Syracuse, New York, as we're off to the conference tournament next weekend in Five Towns College. Good night.